I like to be objective, and being objective
What country
means...
are you from? Let's find out about your origin. You're not even telling me that. Do you understand how this swerves it? Look, you're from the UK. You're a white man.
My person.
You're a white man. Are you a white man?
We need to know.
Are you a white man?
No, we don't need to know.
Are you a white man? You're an illegal immigrant. How about that?
Do I look like a white man?
Don't forget that.
No. So where are you from? So why are you telling me from the UK?
Content over everything. You're from the UK.
I'm from the UK.
You're English.
But that's what we need to go. We don't need to go any further.
What's your ethnic identity?
I'm black.
What? What's black?
Where? What country?
Did you get that,
You want to
fam?
go into
Ethnicity. What's your ethnicity?
my ethnicity?
No. He's not.
What's black though? What country?
He's saying that white
What country are you from?
black is an ethnicity.
No. It's a description.
It's like you want to get into somewhere. Listen. Okay, yeah, I'm African. How about that?
Where in Africa? Where in Africa? Where in Africa?
Yeah, I'm Algerian. How about you?
Algerian. Where are you from? Go on, you're Algerian.
Okay. I'm Central African. Central African.
That's where.
Where do you want to go with this?
You're thinking of illegal immigrants.
Central Africa. Where do you want to go with this? Central Africa. Where do you want to go with
There's
this?
a country called Central. But where though?
I know.
Do you have any allegiance? Where's your allegiance?
He's
Do I
saying
have any
illegal.
allegiance to Africa? What does that have to do with it? Okay, then tell me what it has to do with it.
He said that he understands why people are.
Yeah, I do have allegiance to Africa.
You didn't say that. You said illegals should have come to America. It's just there.
I'm illegal.
Why illegal immigrants? So I asked man where am I from? He said I'm from the
If you
UK.
have an allegiance to Africa and you have an allegiance to
We don't even know where he's from originally.
You have an
That's what I
allegiance to
understand.
Britain as a conservative and have an allegiance to Africa.
Why would there be a conflict? What's the
Do you think there's
conflict?
been a conflict?
No.
Do you think there's been a historical conflict between the two?
There has been conflict.
Still on goes.
But you're asking me, do I think there's a conflict between my values of being a conservative and being an African? I'm saying no, because you have African conservatives everywhere.
Well, you're maintaining the oppressor and fighting for the oppressor at the same time. How do you do that?
There ain't no oppressor and there ain't no oppressed.
So
No.
there's no British Empire, there's no legacy of the British Empire, there's no legacy of colonialism,
Hold on. Are Africans responsible for themselves?
Africans, because this goes back to what you said
Okay,
before.
yes or no?
You said
No,
that
wait,
some
stop,
people
stop,
in the
stop.
world
Are
are
Africans responsible for themselves?
when something happens,
Wait. Yes or no?
are Africans responsible for themselves?
What country? What country are you from?
Let's talk about what country.
Don't generalize all of Africa because there's a lot of countries in Africa.
Okay,
What country
any
are
of
you
the
from?
Big on self-responsibility. But
What
Okay,
country
so
are you
any of
from?
the 54 countries in Africa.
What country
like
are
in
you
the context of what's happened to that person.
Exactly.
You can't take it out. You can't take it out of context. What you're trying to do
How
is
big
saying
Africa is.
should
And generalize all of us. In one group.
What you're trying to do is saying Africa should be and should behave and should. But what you're not saying is what Britain.
So
has
say
done.
say again. Say that again.
What you're saying is
Yeah.
that Britain, or sorry, Africa, should behave a certain way, should respond a certain way. But what are they responding to? Because if you
I
go with
never
your
said that.
responsibility, right, let's go with your responsibility. Yes, we are. We're responsible for ourselves.
There you go.
But responsible for what? Based on what? What's happened to us?
Responsible for yourselves, responsible for who you are, for your tradition, your
What's
culture,
happened to
what you want.
What's your culture?
The position Africa's in at the moment, has it always been in that position?
What do you mean?
Has Africa historically always been in the position it's been in?
What position is Africa in
Abject
now?
poverty.
Where in Africa is that? Where do you get this abject poverty from?
There's no abject
Who
poverty
told you
in
that
Africa.
Africa? See, now I'm getting pissed. Where did you get
There's
this? Where do you get this concept that Africa has
Where
abject
is
poverty?
he from? Where are you
Tell me,
from?
where do you get this
Central
concept?
Africa.
You
There's
can't
no
say
poverty in
Central.
Africa.
No, where do you get the concept that Africa there's abject poverty in Africa? You tell me, which country? Which country
My
you
family's just
saying?
come back from Uganda and there's abject poverty.
In Uganda?
Yes.
Okay. I've never been to Uganda, but all I can say is like, where
So you're giving us facts about what's there and you've never been to the country.
what do you mean?
You just said there's no poverty in Uganda.
I'm telling you,
Or
yeah,
in
most Africans, yeah, they have a Africans have a self-respect for who they are. They will not look at their country and say it's abject poverty. No African would do that. But observers, people who come from around, they will look and say, "Oh yeah, abject poverty." Africans, we don't do that.
Well, that's insulting.
No,
You're trying to say there's
no.
academics in Africa
No.
or anyone in Africa that will turn around and
No,
say
now you're
there's
twisting the
poverty here.
argument. Academics would look at all the social
Look, anyone, the
situations,
average
the cultural
African can tell you
situations,
there's
the
poverty in
historical
that country.
situations, right?
Whether they're academics or normal people. Normal people.
I agree with you, they are. They will see certain things which they say this needs to change. But Africans are responsible and they respect themselves, they respect where they come from. So they won't look at themselves and say, yeah, we're abject. No, that doesn't work because it's not true. Nigeria, right? Hold on. What's the most richest country right now in Africa?
There's a few. go to Ghana, you can go to Nigeria.
Where would you say? Where would you say?
Egypt, you can go to
You
South
either say Nigeria or South Africa.
Nigeria, right? So Nigeria. Let's just say, would you say Nigeria with its? Would you say Nigeria has a poverty problem?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you say that Nigeria is the most richest country in Africa?
No, it's got the best economy.
Yeah, it is. But
So who solves it? Do observers solve it, or do Nigerians solve it?
I think Nigeria.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say. You're trying to basically say that observations.
The conversation I'm having is that you're invested into the legacy, if you will, off the back of a country that is invested in the oppression of a particular country.
I disagree with you.
That's benefited from the oppression of an entire country.
Colonialism was done 50 years ago. Today, Africans, especially West Africa, right? Especially West Africans, we don't look at colonialism the way black people in the West look at colonialism. Because I'm trying to make a distinction between people. I'm from Africa.
Where
And
though?
I'm saying to you, right?
Where?
The way Africans look at colonialism.
What country? So I'm saying Africa.
Africans look
Africa's
at
50 countries, you know.
colonialism, right? It's
Where
not
are
the
you
way
from?
that observers look at
I'm
colonialism.
trying to generalize. What country you from?
The way Africans look at colonialism, the history of colonialism, the
African,
legacy
I don't
of
agree with you.
colonialism. It's not the way that blacks or people from the West or from America or the UK or Europe, they don't see it the same way.
That might be for a very good reason. That might be for a very good reason. Maybe they're not knowledgeable about neo-colonialism.
And the thing is, that's an insult to their intelligence anyway, because they're not. Most Africans know exactly
But
what's happening.
colonialism didn't end in the 19th century.
Correct.
It still goes on now.
Correct.
But it happens behind the scenes where European governments force certain African governments
Give me an
to
example.
do trade deals
They loot
that are
those countries.
yes, which are detrimental to the people within those African countries.
But is that the responsibility of those particular countries to stand for themselves and say no?
Yes,
That's where I'm with you.
yes, I agree.
Look, there it is. We don't need to get into making.
We're in a fight right now.
Somebody will make an observation and saying, "Oh, you need to." No, they need to hold on. They need to stand up. Just like when you go into class, that little boy or little girl needs to, as they grow, they need to stand up and take responsibility for who they are.
That little boy or girl.
You don't have other people come around and say, "Oh, yeah, you need to." No, it doesn't work like that. That's not the way the world works.
If there's a bully, right, and someone's bullying you, you've got a responsibility to fight back. But you've also got
Not everybody can fight back.
Exactly, that's the point. So if that bully's putting pressure on you, that bully's weighing you in, that bully's giving you jabs, what are you going to be doing? Have you got time to focus on yourself? Have you got time to... No, you're going to be putting all your time and effort into defending yourself.
So what are you
There's
saying?
a bully,
What
there's
are
a
you
perpetrator
saying?
and there's a victim.
Are you saying that
What we're
African
saying is
countries
the
are being
victim-
bullied?
No, I'm saying if the victim should focus on himself. The victim's got a responsibility. But the perpetrator also needs to move away from
You've heard of Kwame Nkrumah.
Yes,
You've heard of what's his name?
Jomo Kenyatta,
Jomo Kenyatta. What's his name?
Patrice Lumumba.
Now, all of these people, they advocate the United States of Africa. They're all united.
Pan-Africanism, yeah.
Even Colonel Gaddafi,
yeah.
right? He was about to bring out the gold dinar, right?
critical of the UK.
Now,
Highly
all I'm
critical
simply
of
saying is these are Africans. They took responsibility. They
And they
wanted
were
to
highly
proceed.
critical of
But
this.
what was their problem? What was the problem? It wasn't the UK or colonial countries that was. No,
it
it was their own. It was their own indigenous population that basically opposed them.
There were a number of problems. There wasn't one problem.
Agreed. But my majority of the time, their problems didn't stem from outside. It usually came from inside. Normally, that's where it comes from. Indigenous people. That's the way. That's the way the world.
I can give you information that will challenge what you're saying. When Congo became independent and Patrice Lumumba was the prime minister or the minister, colonialism still affected him in the sense that the Belgians, even though they had officially made Congo an independent country, behind the scenes they were still dictating how the politicians there, what they should do for the benefit of Belgium. Patrice Lumumba went against that, and this is why the CIA and the Belgian intelligence services persecuted and eventually had him killed.
I can give you just as good an example. Nelson Mandela.
Yes.
To me, he's a fake. This is a man who supposedly spent so-called 20 years in prison and then is elected as a president. Right? Now, everybody who knows the coup, right, they know that he was a figurehead. They know that this was a man who was part and parcel of the BOA, right? People who, when they study history, they realize that no, not everything is as black and white as we've been told.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It's never as clear cut as that. But people want to basically argue black and white ways, and I'm saying no. There's always nuances, and when you go into the nuances, you realize that whoa, Whoa.
What you're doing is outright denying oppression.
If you say so, I disagree with what you're saying totally. Because we started off on basically conservatism and liberalism, and somehow
How can you be invested in the oppressor and the oppressed?
Yeah, but where do you get your idea from that I'm investing in the oppressor? Where do you get
that? You're trying to conserve.
That's craziness. Just because I have a particular ideal, that means that I'm oppressing. Who am I oppressing?
Well, what are you conserving?
No, but that's what they call leap in logic. You are doing leaps in logic. Just because I like something.
You're conserving the culture that
if I like Nike, that means somehow I oppress Adidas.
No,
This is the way your mind is thinking. You're saying that because I don't agree with something, so therefore I'm this way inclined. It doesn't work like that, friend. That's not the way the world works.
What I'm saying to you is there's a contrast between the two. Okay? Between the two. The two, in my opinion, Africa and the West can never coexist.
They've been doing it for thousands and thousands of years.
Coexisting. That's not coexisting, bro.
Just you're gonna hold on. Are you gonna use 400 years of slavery? Is that what you're gonna use?
I'm gonna use the entire history.
Before slavery, tell me the history of Africa and the West.
Before slavery?
Yeah, before the transatlantic slavery, tell me the history of Africa and the West. Yeah.
Africa was the centre of the world. Africa, everything that everyone wanted from many other countries, they came to Africa. Culture, they came to Africa. Particular types of different education, geometry, astrology, they came to Africa. They learned from the Africans. Okay?
But what's the history between Africa and the West?
The history between Africa and the West started with trade wars and then continued with exploitation. And we're at the stage now
wait, listen.
Where we're suffering from the residual impact of that exploitation.
I mean, all I'm simply trying to say is that Africa has...
Bro! Come on, man. Look behind you when you move up, bro. Yeah, but you can't be standing there for a little while. All you got to do is look behind you. Well, brother, we're standing there. I beg you to move. I was before you. You were here before me, was you? Come on. Bro, I'm not interested. Go ahead, bro. I'm not interested.
We're talking about exploitation before slavery. What was the relationship between the West and Africa before slavery?
What was the relationship between Africa? I mean, Africa is a continent.
What was the relationship between West and Africa?
Well, I'm trying to determine. He says that somehow that there was. He's saying. Okay, I'm not saying he's saying, but from what I'm understanding, he's saying is that because of the 500 years of slavery that we've had, right? This is recent history. That somehow is the basis of the relationship between Africa and the West. And I'm saying, yes, you can look at that and you can say, okay, but was there a relationship between Africa and the West before slavery?
Of course, there were a lot of
was it based upon slavery?
Trading.
Was it? I mean, I can tell you, when you know Mansa Musa, when Mansa Musa decided this was, I mean, the freak empires of West Africa, right? Ghana, Songhai, and Mali. When, for instance, these African kings wanted to trade, the Muslims, and they said, listen, unless you become a Muslim, you ain't trading nothing with us. Then, man, they forced them to become Muslims, and this is recorded in Ghana. So I'm simply saying it's like when you look at what's the history between Africa and the West before slavery, and you realize that it's not based upon this antagonistic thing that we have. Certain of the Roman emperors were black. Where did they come from? Hannibal, the great Hannibal, right, who sacked Rome, right? He was black. Listen, I'm telling you, there's something taking place in our history that we are being force-fed, we are being spoon-fed a particular narrative, and unless we stand up and we begin to identify what's right and what's wrong, a certain agenda is just going to sweep us all away. It's going to sweep it. Nobody here is, I don't know. It doesn't sit right with me. And I started off with this thing, LGBTQ thing. I started off with that.
It's a simple question. What are you trying to conserve?
You're the one that's made this kind of assessment.
I'm asking because it seems
I'm not
like
just trying to say.
on both sides.
Listen, friend.
Are you trying to conserve or are you trying to progress? Are you trying
You
to
asked me before. Your first question was, "Am I conservative?" And I said to you, "Yes, I'm a conservative." And then my concept was, "Okay, that makes you a liberal."
I'm not anything.
Okay, you're not a liberal. You're not a conservative. Then what are you? You're right in the middle. You stand on the gap.
I'm a truth seeker. You tell me something that makes sense, I'm with you.
Anybody can claim.
Right now, what you're saying to me
but
is
everybody
that
can sit on the fence, though.
uncomfortable. Right now, what you're saying to me is
The easiest position today is to sit on the fence.
No,
That's the easiest position today.
There isn't any sitting on the fence. Because I've got an
Whether it's
argument.
easy or not, bro, you can choose to sit there.
I agree, but it's really easy.
Yeah, whether it's easy or not,
what
you
you're
can choose
concerned
to
with.
sit.
liberal, a conservative,
Yeah.
someone who
He didn't need to prescribe to a
you
school
don't
of
have to
thought.
subscribe to.
I agree. But at the same time, it's the easiest position to hold.
No, but he's saying
The devil's advocate, where you can play both sides and you can take benefits from both. You can take negatives from both.
I'm not saying I'm sitting on the fence.
No, I'm a conservative.
No,
I
one
don't.
second, bro.
I look at liberals. I look
Listen,
at progressives and liberals, and I say to
Because
myself, these are the scum of the world. That's just my view. Right? That's just my view. I cannot accept this liberal progressive movement where they're saying that there should be no such thing as sovereign nations anymore. Do you agree? I don't know where you're from, bro, but do any of you say that do you agree with sovereignty of a nation? That nations has laws, but those laws should be applicable to each and every single citizen? Don't you think so? But then illegal immigrants, they come in, and all of us, and they come in, and automatically that law is not applicable to them because they're illegal. Because, brother, if you go to USA, let me give you an example in USA, yeah? You have illegal
In the
immigrants.
commission,
You have illegal immigrants.
you heard of us, the murderers, most shady. The hood.
You have illegal immigrants who are killing indigenous people from USA
So they come to the country with so
illegally.
to kill.
No. They came to the country. They've either overstayed their welcome. They've either crossed the border illegally, but they're not there legally. Now,
what are
they
their
have
circumstances? What-
no. Irrespective of their circumstances, they've ended up killing someone by DUI.
I want to know how that happens.
We're indigenous.
How do you migrate from a country where you're starving, you haven't even got the basic necessities?
It's
go
like
to a
you have
country
this
that has
sympathy
privileges.
for
Hold on,
people.
bro, you're not letting me finish. No, I'm not even doing that. I'm giving an objective view. Of the majority of migrants, people that come from a country have come
This
from
is
there
not
because-
objective.
It's very objective. Listen, they've come from a country, this is facts, we both agree on this. They've come from a country which is poverty-ridden, can't get a job. Most Romanians will say that. Polish will say that. Syrians will say that. They can't get anything in their country. They come to a country which is offering them privilege and are offering them potential.
They're not offering, they're taking it.
Bro, I'm not saying the migrants, I'm saying the country they're coming to is offering them a better life. Right?
In
Most
what
countries
sense
they
is it
come to. No, come, when you go to America or you come to UK, migrants that come to that country are coming for a better life.
Oh, okay, they're coming for
Yeah,
better.
that's what I'm saying. So
agree.
I'm saying once they come to that country, why do you think and assume that the first thing on their mind is murder? Why do you think they've come in there to murder people?
Listen,
What
I'm
are
not
their
painting everybody with the
circumstances?
same brush, but what I am saying is that you have to look that there is a. This is just common sense, man. If you have a group of people who are not in this country legally, and you find that there is crimes being committed from DUI, drunken under the influence, to murder, to rape, to drugs, to kidnapping. MS-13, for instance, you've all heard of MS-13, right? Now this is a gang. The majority are from El Salvador. They don't come into the country legally,
It's not true, bro.
right?
Most of them are born in that country, man. They're
This is what I'm trying
Latinos,
to.
they're born in
This is what I'm trying to say. This is what I'm trying to say. You can. There's right.
So you're saying most of the MS-13 are immigrants?
I'm saying to you that DACA. You know the word DACA? DACA was a policy for American citizens, or for instance, let's say your mum is from El Salvador. She gives birth to you, right, in that country. She is now a DACA. That is to say, she's waiting for her to be approved by the USA and for her children as well, right? Now, all of these children, there's about 7 million of them, 7 million of these ones. Now, what the USA was found that this number is increasing and no one is solving this problem. Plus which, you're having these illegal immigrants who are now coming from different countries and they're coming in with all these kinds of concepts where, yeah, it's like, we're not here to integrate. We're not here to basically like be one with the indigenous. We're just here to cause a particular problem. So what the government was saying was that, you know what, we need to interact with this. We need to intervene in this.
So migrants
the
are coming to countries to cause a problem. That's their primary.
Man, you're
asking you the question.
No,
That's what you're
no,
saying.
that's not what I'm saying. But that's what you want to
Why
hear.
they come to the country?
They're coming to the country, like you said, to make a better life for themselves. That's the majority
That's not what
of
you just
them.
said, though. You said they've come to the country to.
But I'm speaking about MS-13. I'm not speaking about migrants.
Be specific about what you're saying.
I did. I said specific MS-13.
MS-13 are a gang of people. The majority of
And
which
there are
aren't migrants.
thousands of them.
No, but they're not all migrants, bro.
The majority of them are migrants. They're coming.
No, when I say migrants, by the way, I mean they're not born.
It's like,
they're born in America.
They're not born in. The majority are not born in the USA.
not
They're
born
coming from El Salvador. They're coming in through different means, and they.
We'd have to do the research. No, I don't think
It's a mixture. Some were born in the US, some came straight from El Salvador. It's a mixture. It's like you said, it's not.
You know,
black
the
and
other
white.
day
It's
there was a guy
complicated.
here from Sudan,
Yeah.
a crack dealer. Did you see in the newspaper, a crack dealer? And you know what? He was born in the UK, bred in the UK. You know, they sent him back. He's never been there, but they sent him back.
And I agree. If you come here and you disobey the law,
But he's born here. He's born here. So why would they send him back?
that's wrong. I don't agree with that.
You just agreed with
I
me.
thought you meant. He thought you meant that he was born there. If they were born somewhere else and they come here and they break the law, send them back. If they were born here and they break the law, they go to
Like I said,
sorry.
I just
You agree
feel
with
that.
If you're born here and you break the law, you go to British prison.
I'm finding it. I don't know what to say anymore because it's like you're seeing something is happening, and I'm saying it's like there's no way to deal with the problems in the old methods that we used to use. They're not working. They're not working because the problems are becoming. They're spiraling out of control. So people now, the government is doing this kind of radical move where they say, if you do this, we're sending you back to your home country. This is clearly because they've reached a particular limit and they don't know how to confront the issue anymore. So they say, you know what? Let's take this as our policy.
I don't think the solution is conservative. I think there's a little bit conservative and a little bit liberal. And I think you need to find a middle ground. That's my only point in this conversation. There needs to be a middle ground. That's why I don't stand on either. Some days I'm conservative, some days I'm liberal. It depends what makes sense.
What? Half in, half out?
It's not half in, half out. It's what makes sense. Sometimes
but what
liberals
makes-
make more sense than conservatives.
Yeah, but sometimes
Sometimes we need progression. Sometimes we need to maintain and preserve traditional values. I'm liberal.
Okay, I can understand that. But for me personally, it's like I feel that every man needs to choose a side.
And that's the problem.
You see,
That's why
every
we're
man needs to
confident.
choose a side, and it's harsh.
There's no side.
Nobody wants to take the responsibility of choosing a side because everybody wants to be allegiance to everybody else. But that's not the way the world works.
So you don't consider being a centre-left or centre-right, picking a side?
It can't be a side, bro.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
do.
side as well.
Yeah, it is a side. It is a side.
So you are picking a side when you pick to be in the middle.
The only problem is, it's like I don't know what values you may hold when you're both centre left and you're centre right.
Take a bit from each side, the right, the left, put it together and you
At
create
some point,
something.
you're going to run into a contradiction, which is like, it's going to be like, whoa,
For example,
And I'm just thinking at a certain point, I'm a Republican or conservative, as you might want to view it. That's because like I say,
do you agree with
I want to
racial
hold on to the
equality law in this
past.
country?
Sorry?
Racial equality law in this country. I think it came into power in the 80s or 70s.
Racial equality law. I don't even know what that is, to be honest.
Okay, NHS. Anyone can say that the NHS and social services is pure communism, socialism. It's not part of the conservative right wing. It's part of the left. But we live in a society. Yeah, so we live in a society that utilizes some of the left and some of the right. We have social services, NHS. That's not part of conservatism. It was historically brought in by the Labour Party, which is the left.
after the World War.
As
though.
is the racial equality law.
Yeah.
So I'm
After
saying
World War II.
There
So-
are certain things from the
It
left
was a
that
necessity.
benefit us.
Yeah, but I'm a conservative. I'm saying I preserve
saying,
that.
so it can't- you can't be on the
But
side.
wait. If they say now, let's privatize NHS, what are you going to say?
I'll say no.
Exactly. That means you're my side. You're conservative.
Right,
you wanna,
for that particular issue,
Right.
this is what we're saying.
I
But it
don't know.
might be
But
something for another issue.
I don't
You know
do
the funny
politics.
thing.
I
You
don't
know
do
the funny
politics.
thing
I'm
to your
very-
question. You know the funny thing. Parts of the NHS are privatized. We live in a country where there's a mixture.
I know.
So
I
parts
know.
of the
It's a
private,
sad thing.
the NHS are not privatized.
I mean,
and some
I'm
of
now
them are
with Bupa.
privatized. It's
I'm now
mixed.
with Bupa. I don't
It's
go with
mixed.
NHS anymore,
So
right?
you live in a society that's mixed anyway.
People private.
Yeah, Bupa is private. I mean, I pay for my work. So when you,
Some, bro.
yeah,
But you're already living in a society that is politically right and left. It's mixed anyway.
Yeah, I agree to a certain extent, but what's happening is like something is taking place, man, and we're losing something. We're losing who we are. We're losing what we are. Do you remember 20 years ago when you couldn't go? The whole of Central London used to be shut down on a Sunday.
But you're the only guy on my Facebook. What happened? You had the same.
Shops didn't open. Do you remember when you getting on a bus for 5 pence? Do you remember? I can remember when no shop in the whole of Central London, this was all closed down. Central London didn't shut. There was no opening. Where we never had the what do you call it? The zone. Congestion. We never had that. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And I'm saying it's like things have changed so much so now that it's just hard to acknowledge what we are, who we are, and our values are changing because.
So what would you like to see politically then?
What would I like to see politically? Oh, we can't. What's happening among us, we cannot change politically. We've gone beyond that. We've gone beyond the pale. Tony Blair, he smacked when he opened those doors of immigration. That was it. It was game over. Game over.
So you're saying it's game over?
It's game over, man. It's game over.
So why are
you can look in Belgium, Sweden, France. Look in Europe. 20 years ago, this was not. You can't recognize Europe now and say the same.
What are you fighting for?
No, he's asking me precisely.
So what would you like to see done politically?
And I'm saying that I don't think there is anything that can be done politically to revert. No, I don't give up. I just change my battle.
This is what he's trying to get to.
No, he's asking me if there's anything politically, and I'm saying
if not politically, then what?
The solution was never political in the first place.
What is the solution? That's what we're trying to get.
Jesus. Jesus.
Is that the honest answer?
Yes. Yes, sir.
So divine intervention, that's what we're all waiting for.
Hey, brother. Don't laugh at my figure, thanks.
I'm laughing.
Because this is it. This is the problem.
Sorry.
Just as I was thinking he's going to have a good solution, yeah, he's going to do this and we're going to do that. Jesus. And I'm not against religion. But waiting for divine intervention, you don't think you've got the power to change anything?
Of course you have the power to change things.
So why are we waiting for Jesus? Why aren't we coming together and doing something?
Because what's happening here is irreversible. It's gone beyond.
Okay, so let's play this game.
So no matter how much,
how's Jesus going to solve it?
He's going to destroy and then build up everything again. Everything that you see now, it can't be sustained. It can't be maintained, Brent.
What do we do till then? Because that won't happen in the next 5 years.
Because if let's say you arrive at let's say you have a political solution, you're gonna defranchise somebody. That's the way it works.
That's what I said.
Not everybody's gonna be beneficial.
The Western Africa
right?
can't coexist.
No matter what solution you include, no matter how you try to implement it, some people are going to be beneficiaries and some people are going to be losers. Right?
Wouldn't you like to live in a world where we could coexist?
I'm sorry?
Wouldn't you like to live in a world where we both could coexist? Where everyone
we do coexist.
No, but come on, peaceful. Function.
Yeah, that's Christ. That's the kingdom of heaven. It's coming.
In this world, this reality, this time.
Man, it's like...
Wouldn't you like to sit and work with a liberal?
It's impossible.
And say, hey,
it's
what's your vision? What's my vision?
It's impossible. It's impossible.
Have you ever done that before?
It's impossible.
Have you tried?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so
all I have to do is look at world history. I just have to look at every single facet of the way we are human beings. And I say for a fact, it's impossible.
If we're never going to coexist.
It's never happened before in the past.
We might as well just slit our wrists now and give up.
No, we don't have to slit our wrists now and give up.
Oh, we wait for Jesus. We don't know when he's coming. So it could be another 500 years of war, poverty. You really want that?
It's like I know you're not being.
I'm not being facetious. I'm being 100%.
I know you're not being facetious.
I'm being serious.
But it's like when you say we wait for 500 years.
You've been waiting for 2,000 already. So how much longer? When's he coming? Because it says in Revelations he's not. There is no. What is it? You don't know when he's going to come. There'll be signs.
And the signs are being fulfilled right now.
They've been going on for the past 300 years.
No. There are certain signs which have not been going on, they're only happening now. One, the building of the third temple in Jerusalem. That is biblical, and that tells you that we are approaching the last. When you see, right now, it's nearly under construction.
But you know the last
that hasn't been happening for the last 2,000 years. It's only happening now. Israel was only given back its land in 1948. Jerusalem was only taken back in 1965. These were... Man, I just stood up the shadow of my eye and I was like, what the heck? But all of these are prophecies which have been happening recently, in our recent history.
What his point was, you don't know when the actual last day what Judgment Day really is.
No man
The
knows.
last days could mean 500 years.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not that low. No.
Well, we've been on the planet for millions of years. 500 years is a very short space of time.
Millions of years. Human beings.
Let's not get into it. But come on. Let's
Really?
do, for you, we'll do a couple hundred.
No. We've been here for approximately, I would say approximately 500,000 years, for sure.
We've been a million of years. Not in human form. Subhuman.
Okay, now we're going to get into another subject, right? What do you mean by that? Not always in human form.
Subhuman form. So Neanderthal and all the rest of it, they were subhuman.
You believe that the man was a Neanderthal?
I said there's a difference between subhuman and human.
You had Neanderthals and you had early Homo sapiens.
Yeah. They weren't quite humans, they weren't quite animals.
So
They were
where
in between.
did Neanderthals come from?
It came from
Jesus?
See, now you're being facetious.
No, come on, bro.
Now you're being
Something must have
facetious.
created him, so let's say Jesus.
Now you are being facetious.
But God didn't say that Adam was a human. And there's no use of the term human in the Bible.
God said, let's make man in our
Yeah,
image.
but we were not told what man looked like in the Bible.
What do you mean?
There's no description of
Give
Adam.
the description for Adam.
What do you mean, like a
Was
physical
Adam a
description?
pygmy? Was he 7 foot tall?
Because subhumans walked on all
But
fours.
hold on, but why would that, what would a...
Because you're making an assumption about what we looked like 500,000 years ago.
No,
Based
no,
on
I'm
your
not, no,
religious
no, no, no,
belief.
no, 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 no. I'm asking you guys.
Okay, I've given you what I said early.
Neanderthal.
Yeah, I said
Yeah. So I'm
Neanderthals,
saying-
early Homo sapiens, they clashed, they interbred. It led to a development of
Development
other.
of what we today call the modern human being.
That's
So
what
wait,
some
can I
people
ask you
believe that.
something?
Not everyone believes.
Do you
some people
believe that
that.
Neanderthal and mankind
no, we didn't
blended?
come from Neanderthal.
We didn't.
Sorry, brother, you're not Thai, are you?
Thai.
Yeah, I thought you looked like
We
Thai.
don't.
No.
As from our political
stick it on
persuasion,
him.
we don't. But there are people.
I've been
in
told
general
I look
that
like
believe,
him.
yeah, that we interbred. I'm guessing, I'm assuming, but as Africans, we don't believe we've got any part Neanderthal in us at all.
Who would you say
We
does?
believe we're the only ones that white people.
Do you believe that there's a certain part of man that intermingled with Neanderthal? There's a certain
European.
humanity.
European.
Europeans, white
Yeah.
white people,
White people.
Caucasian.
Yes.
Okay, what evidence would you give?
So the out of Africa theory is that we started in Africa, let's just say, started in around Ethiopia. There were a migration of a certain tribe or tribes. Those tribes going into Europe interacted with, I believe, Neanderthal and or subhumans that then created what we call the modern day white person. We haven't interacted with them. Of recent, yeah, there's been all type of mixture and mixing and all sorts. But the original indigenous people to the continent of Africa never interacted with Neanderthals. They came through another, and I don't know all the facts, so I can't.
Yeah,
give
from
you
what I
the
know, they don't.
right terms.
Africans don't have no Neanderthal DNA, but Europeans have about, I think, 3% DNA from Neanderthal.
But see, that's a different school of thought. They're different schools of
They're
thought.
different schools of thought.
So your school of thought is different from his school of thought, and there are other schools of thought.
But I think the common consensus is that we evolved from something else, subhuman to human.
He wouldn't say that.
What do you think so?
Jesus created. That was yours.
Do you think that
You're
Adam
mocking,
was...
man.
Mocking? I'm asking you. You're Christian, innit?
I'm not mocking you.
Okay,
I gently.
I believe in creation.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Man is
So it came
created
from
on
the
the
dust.
sixth day.
Yeah, it came from the dust.
No, we're not
Correct.
debating that, but we're debating what was it? Was it subhuman creature?
Oh, do you mean the man that was made, the Adam that was made?
There's no
I
description
believe
in
that.
the Bible.
Okay, so I don't believe that he had 4 horns and he had the wings on his back and he had a tail. And I don't believe that he was walking around with his knuckles, dragging his knuckles on the ground either. I believe that he was a man, and he had intelligence enough to name animals to be able to obey God's commandment or disobey God's commandment. So all of those things tell me that he was very much strip our clothing away. We are the same as he was, man. I mean, Muslims say that Adam was 90 feet tall. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. That somehow man has shrunk down. I don't agree with that. I believe man is just being the only distinction I would make
There's no
is that.
description.
What do you mean by description? You mean physically?
There's no physical description.
Well, I
It's just a
mean,
problem. I'm not saying it's real or not real. I'm just saying you haven't got description.
well, I don't know what you want
can
when
only
you.
assume.
I don't understand what you want when you say the word description. I mean, the
I'm
word
saying in
Adam
the
means
sense
red, right? It means earth, right? So if we look, it means earth,
Okay,
right?
what color was his eyes?
What type of nose did he have? Did he
What
have big
colors
lips?
did he have? What was his skin color?
You tell me.
I don't know. We're asking you.
We're just saying it's a problem.
Why is it
when
a
it
problem?
comes to these type of conversations about human evolution and existence and where we came from?
But why would it be a problem?
Why is that? Adam is what language? Sorry.
Adam, I believe it's Aramaic,
Is that the
right?
first language?
No, it's not. First
How
language
do we know
is...
it was read? If Adam is not, if Aramaic is not the original language, or the first language.
Because, okay, so the way the Bible writes things, okay, you can look at the King's List from Babylon, you can look at the Akkadian or Babylonian mythology or whatever, what's not, and they can give you particular like accounts which are similar to the Genesis account, but it makes it very clear that the man that God made, he was Adam, and Adam means red or it means earth.
Yeah,
so
in
he
a
was
specific language. That's what I'm saying.
you and me.
Well, but that's strange because the Akkadian accounts came out thousands of years before the text for Genesis.
Yeah, but the Akkadian accounts don't include the details and like of Genesis. The Akkadian accounts are quite general, and so you find the same Babylonians and so the same Egyptians.
So what are the details in Genesis then? Because we've asked about Adam, but we're still no closer to understanding what he looked like, what was his skin color, how tall he was.
The Bible doesn't give you that kind of specific specificity.
So you're making assumptions of him.
No, I'm saying that the word Adam means red or earth.
No, but going back to what we were talking, the out of Africa school of thought.
Oh no, I don't.
What was Adam? What was
you see, that kind of okay, on Google Maps about 10 years ago, they did this thing. It's called Pangea, right? All the continents.
yes. I love
that
You've seen that.
I love you speak.
All these continents, right? They all, if you put them, if you slow fast forward, boom, they all go together, right? And then if you fast forward the clock, boom, all the continents fit outwardly in the same way, right?
You did it the wrong
Fast
way.
forward.
It was the other way around.
Yeah, you wind it and they
Started the
fit.
Pangea and we
Right. So the concept is amongst many Pan-African scholars is that look, human beings, right? There was this landmass where all human beings were one, but gradually what tends to happen is that this landmass, boom, which is why you can explain Aborigines in Australia, right? Or you can explain Native Indians in the USA, right? There's this brown skin, or you can explain Aztecs and the Mayans in South America, because this landmass used to be boom, but then gradually, right? And so you have the development, and this is where macro evolution comes in. So
Was that during the time Adam was made, or was he made before that?
I would say this is before Adam. This
It was
way
before Adam.
Yeah. Hello, young man.
So what would have Adam looked?
Pangea was before
What would?
Adam.
Yeah. So no,
Yeah, Pangea was before Adam. You're saying.
Yeah, it has to be, because this is not 6,000 years ago. I mean, we have the flood account, right? The flood.
is 1.5 million years ago.
Fair enough.
no, but that's a big.
No, I'm just simply.
You said we've only been here 100,000 years.
Okay, but the flood account is in every civilization, in every culture. Every single one. The flood account. Chinese, Babylonian, Akkadian.
Doesn't explain. We're talking about Adam.
No, but what I'm simply saying is that when I'm using this criteria of Pangea, I'm saying that they all had a particular history. They all have a particular understanding of the way the world works.
But your
and they all have this experience.
biblical time frame does not correlate with the time frame he just mentioned.
That's what I said.
Which is,
You said if Adam's the first man,
Adam is the first man, yes.
first human,
Yes.
right? Adam, the Pangea split 1.5 million years ago. You're saying Adam was before the Pangea, but you said human existence is only 100,000 years. Yeah.
Okay. I'm simply saying that the way the story of Genesis is told, Genesis tells you specific things. It tells you like the Tigris, the Euphrates. It tells you about Eden. It tells you about Ethiopia, which is to say that these are specific places which we can locate today, right? Yeah. So that tells me that this split has already happened. This split has already happened because the way God is outlining, the way Moses is telling you these things now, these are specific places where we know.
So he came after the Pangea, not before the Pangea.
They came afterwards.
So Aborigines that existed before Adam, according to what you're saying, because if he's naming these places that existed, Ethiopia, where and Adam was created.
No, but
these places already
okay.
existed.
So the view now is, I'm not saying that Adam was 6,000 years ago. I'm saying no, Adam was way more than 6,000 years ago. That's
He's
a
the original
concept.
human being.
Yeah, but it wasn't
So he has to
6,000
be
years ago.
But what he's saying is he has to be before everything. Yeah. Aborigines can't exist before the first man.
Why not?
What?
No, guys. See, this is what I tried to say.
Then he's not the first man.
No, this is what I tried to
The
say.
original's the first
The
one.
way the Bible is written, right? The Bible is written in nuances. In nuances.
So the story of Adam is a nuance. It's not real.
No. I believe in the what do you call it? the practical story of Adam. I definitely 100%. There was an Adam, there was an Eve, they had children.
But Aborigines existed before Adam.
No, I don't believe that Aborigines existed before Adam. I believe
Anyone exists before
Yeah,
Adam?
did people any?
there was life before Adam. You can say that.
So Adam wasn't the first man.
Adam is the
That's what
first
the Bible
Adam.
says. Adam's the first
The
Adam.
first man. But the way the Bible makes it, okay, let me give you, I'm trying to explain certain things here. The Bible, for instance, tells you about things called demons and devils. But these things were not, their beginning is not in the first book called Genesis. They were here way before that. So where did they come from? You see, the way we, when
Say it to
you,
me again, bro. So, I was listening, but I didn't process. So there
what
was
I'm simply saying,
demons.
right? So, for instance, the Bible tells you that there's things called devils and demons, but these things are not created in Genesis. Where in Genesis you have the creation of certain things, right? All things, but these things are not created in. Their beginning is much more ancient than that.
So
where did they come from?
Anything before Adam wasn't human.
No, I'm simply saying that there was life before man,
But it
but
wasn't
we
human.
cannot speculate what that life was. In any way, shape, or form.
But it wasn't human.
We can't tell. We can't say.
Who was the first human?
I can say that the first man. I use this word man very carefully.
What's the
Adam.
difference between man?
Man and
You're
human.
saying man is not
What's
human?
the difference between man and human?
Well, it's like, for instance, today,
'Cause this is good, because
there's a lot, there are a lot of
Which I agree.
things. How can I put it to you?
You're agreeing with us now. Remember when we said subhumans came before humans?
Subhumans come before humans.
The Neanderthal and whatnot. You're kind of saying that. You're saying there was things before man, before human beings that weren't human, and we can agree with that.
No. Yeah, but you see, I'm using the biblical timeline, and I wanted you to kind of like stay in lockstep with me, but I think it's pretty hard.
They just call it demons and Satan and stuff.
Yeah, where did these creatures
We
come
have to
from?
be careful with words.
Yeah, I agree.
Because-
Words matter.
Yeah.
But where did these creatures
There's
come
no
from?
difference between man and
See?
human.
No, but did these creatures even live on Earth? We're talking about on
Well, they
planet
have
Earth.
to.
So
They
you're
have
saying
to.
demons existed on Earth,
But
but it's not
they
in
can't come-
Genesis.
They have to be here on the earth because where else are they're not using spaceships.
So now we're not.
I don't
talking,
believe in that crap.
Now we're not talking
devil didn't
Bible
come from the
anymore.
heavens.
We're talking about something
made it
else.
up.
Yeah, we're talking about something else. We're not
No,
talking
we-
about the Bible anymore.
You're saying
We need to be
I'm
able
a
to refer to
Christian,
something.
and the conversation is.
That's
for
why
me,
I'm confused.
The premise is
Because you're talking about stuff that's not in the Bible. You're saying that they were on the Earth before the Earth.
but
That's
that's what
not
I'm
in
trying
Genesis.
to.
That's not in Genesis, though.
But that's what I've been saying. These creatures were here. However, Genesis does not record the way when God is creating all things.
So where was it recorded?
Yeah, so
No,
for you
no,
to
no,
for
no.
you to finish, go. Yeah, for you to say that these things existed, were you quoting them?
What do you mean? What am I quoting from?
You said these
How do
demons
you know?
existed on
How do you know
Earth before
demons
Adam.
existed?
Where did you get that from?
Because from the very beginning, when Adam is made, Lucifer as a serpent, right? He's already looking to implement a plan to corrupt them.
What's a serpent?
In Genesis.
Yeah, what is a serpent?
What is the serpent?
What's a serpent?
A serpent, I mean, today we can identify a physical serpent, right? But back then, I suspect that life was different, right? Physical life was different. We can use the same name. I mean, the Hebrew word for serpent is nahash, right? And in nahash, it implies it having wings. It's something which, and the way God pronounces the curse, it says, upon your belly you shall crawl all the days of your life, which seems to imply that it was upon its belly. So I'm simply saying that life, the way we attribute life now, is not the way it was back then. There was something happening back then that is totally different from our dynamic, the way we perceive life now. So for instance, the word talks about giants, right? It talks about the Nephilim, the Anunnaki. Today, all of a sudden, in the 21st century, this thing is now becoming upright in people's minds, right?
Is that in the Bible?
Of course it is. The giants, they're there, Nephilim.
I'm just trying to follow the timeline. So if you believe these giants existed on the earth,
They still do, yes.
they still do. Yes. Where are they?
I'd rather not say.
Well, there's the story of the giant of Kandahar. There's that one.
Very good.
The giant of
Very good.
Kandahar.
The
What's the
US.
time? When did they come? Did they come
The US
before-
Navy's. This is in Afghanistan, right? A US Navy group. They were looking for some. They're looking stuff, and they go into this cave, and this thing. They can smell this nasty smell, and all of a sudden this thing comes out, and they react. Some gunfire takes place. The US government squashes it. The Smithsonian Institute. Look how many bones of giants they've been found in the US, in Arizona, in what do you call that place?
Desert.
No, not just the desert, the Grand Canyon. Look how many different bones they've found in there, and yet what's happened? Thrown everything
Are they
away.
human? Like, is it a human mutation? Is that why they're that size, or are they something different?
I can honestly say I don't know. I can only go by the biblical revelation of it. These are creatures, however, which existed. They still do, and they will make. You've seen this anime, right? There's an anime about these things. What do they call them? Attack of the Titans, right? The very day
Based on myth. Okay.
I tell you, myth. History becomes legend, and legend becomes myth. But there's always, where there's smoke, there's fire. These things existed.
I also think there's exaggeration.
The Greek myths, right, where it talks about Titan, right? These gods and goddesses. Kronos. Brother, when you look at the Bhagavad Gita, the Indian, the Bhagavad Gita, it talks about the nuclear wars. These creatures had blue skins. They were flying around in.
Have there ever been any bones?
Yo, I'm
found
telling
in
you,
giants?
these things existed. And
been
you
any-
guys are beginning to see through this. Hold on. One last thing. Just the Luciferian principle. The esoteric teaching, which is now becoming esoteric, right? The whole Luciferian principle, which is now becoming more and more part of the agenda today, right? You are now seeing it. All these stuff. You're now seeing it everywhere you go, right? Read Madame. If you want to, get into the books by Annie Besant, Manny P. Hall, Alice
You
Bailey.
read Manny P. Hall.
Brother, I had to get into theosophy. You get into the books by Madame Blavatsky. They will tell you where these things come from, what's been happening on our earth, the human history and the divine history, as well as the Luciferian history. And I'm telling you, it's like nothing is what we think.
So then in that sense, you're a bit like this man, because he mentioned a while ago that he takes,
Except
he's
the
a
Bible.
truth
Except
seeker,
the Bible.
and he looks for information from different parts.
Except the
You're
Bible.
looking at Manny P. Hall. Manny P. Hall wasn't a Christian, I don't recall.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, but you're reading Manny P. Hall, and he's
No,
not
no,
a
no,
Christian.
I'm looking
So
at-
you're looking for the truth yourself.
No. The truth is Christ Jesus.
But Manny P. Hall's not the truth.
Manly P. Hall, Annie Besant, and all theosophists, they tell you, right, about their view of who God is and who the devil is.
Yeah, but not from a Christian point of view.
No, of course not. But so you
So
need to
you look for information
No,
outside
I'm not
of
looking.
the church.
I'm just trying to I'm trying to understand their perspective of why they say
I see.
Lucifer is God. Why Adam and Eve were not in a garden, they were in a jail. And that they needed the keys of knowledge to release them. And I'm simply saying, when you get to understand theosophy, then you understand the world you're living in today. You understand LGBT, you understand the whole gay agenda, you understand so many things, which is good. Recently I've been getting into the whole black goo thing.
Black what?
The black goo. Okay. The black goo.
G-U-E.
G-O-O. You know goo.
Oh, black goo. What is? Please tell me.
You
what
seen
is it?
Prometheus?
Yes.
Okay. I can tell. Listen, this thing is not some. They push a certain narrative so that you will embrace it. That black goo. You remember The Matrix?
Yes.
I don't like using Hollywood, but they've been pushing this narrative for a long while, and you see this whole black goo. You see it in so many different movies.
Oh my gosh, I was seeing that on YouTube.
So many different movies, and you all of a sudden you begin like, why they show you this? You've seen Lucy, right? Lucy, remember Lucy? You see the whole. What is Lucy short for?
Please describe it, because I've been seeing this on the YouTube. A lot of people releasing videos on this black goo.
There is an agenda be taking place, right? Where they're trying to make, like, for instance, in Prometheus, the black goo is this kind of like, it's a way of building life, right? I don't want to talk too much about it.
It's a demonic entity, isn't it? It's trying to say the black goo. Some say
I was debating you
some say
about
0
modalism
energy.
and trifism.
Let's not divert. The black goo you're talking about, they say it's two things. It's either a fifth dimensional being, which is a demon, comes in that form, or they say that black goo is actually 0 point energy, which Tesla tried to tap into.
Nikola Tesla.
Yeah, which he was successful apparently.
Sounds like millions.
Yeah, it's crazy. This black goo, like he says, it's everywhere.
Man, the world
they
we
push
live
an
in.
agenda. So later, it's that word for it, isn't it? There's a word for it. When they're pushing an agenda, when it comes true, you accept it, right? Just like 9/11 has been pushed.
My
pushed
question
and
to
pushed
both of you, because
from
you
the
keep saying
1930s.
they're pushing. I want to know who these people
Okay,
are.
these people, the
Because
secret.
they don't seem to be on either of your sides.
Okay.
They're not liberal, they're not
They all
conservative.
go. They all go
What's the
back
range?
to
What's the
one
agenda?
family. Yeah. So there's 6 conglomerates that
Don't say
control
the
everything
Jews,
else.
Zionist Jews, please don't.
It all goes back to one family. Whether you want to admit it or not.
Who's the family?
The Rothschilds. Do they not control everything?
Let's work with that. What's their agenda?
Their agenda is to bring about the third temple and to bring about their Messiah, their version of the Messiah. They believe if they fulfill, what's going on in the world is a lot of self-fulfillment. People are fulfilling prophecies that are not getting fulfilled. So the Israelis, the Jews at the moment, right now, they're trying to fulfill certain prophecies. They're bringing out their genetically modified red heifer, the red cow. There's no such thing as a red cow in the world, yeah. But they made one, yeah, just so they can sacrifice it every day, yeah. They're doing all of this just so they can fulfill their prophecies. And they believe, like the evangelical Christians believe, if they help these Jews to establish a country and establish their temple, they believe their Messiah will come, which is Jesus. Yeah? Which is Jesus. No, that's what the evangelical Christians community are doing it.
You're not Zionist Christian. He's
exactly.
talking about the Zionist
Yeah,
Christians.
so they are pushing this.
Yeah, they're Christian
They are
Zionists.
pushing this.
Yeah.
The first Zionists were Christians. It wasn't Jews, it was Christians, yeah? So this is what it's all about.
But not
At
all
the end of the day.
Christians. Not all Christians.
There's a doctor who was an MI agent, military US MI agent. His name is Dr. Guerrera, Steve Guerrera. You can check him on YouTube. You've heard of him, yeah? Yeah, Guerrera, yeah? He's got a documentary called Acknowledged. This is all about UFOs and stuff, but it's it's worth watching because he mentions the black goo as well and what it's related to, and he talks about there's a false flag alien invasion coming, and he's aware of who's.
Do you agree that's the same they? I'm sorry. Do you agree that's the same they? Are you in agreement that's the same they? As you said they. They are people that are.
Oh no. For me, they is very simple.
They is Jesus.
No, they as in the oppressors.
The person you're saying is intervening and manipulating everything.
Who's they?
Oh, I see.
Because he's talking about the Christian Zionists and the Jewish Zionists. Is that what you're talking about?
Oh, so am I referring to Rothschild and am I referring to Rockefeller and all these ones? I would say that they basically they're like the descendants. I mean, you get into the Merovingi, right? You get into like the bloodlines, the 13 bloodlines of these fallen angels.
I'm not even saying where it started. I'm saying are they perpetuating and trying to.
It does seem so. It does seem like there's an agenda being pushed, and they're making the world into their image.
So this is my thing. Are you Muslim?
Alhamdulillah, yes.
I think both of you agree on what the solution is.
I say Jesus.
And you say,
That would be.
what's the solution?
Oh, the solution.
Is it a political one or is it a divine intervention?
I think it's gone past the pure point of political now.
That's what he
It
said.
has to be
I'm finding common
divine.
ground here, bro.
What was my
That's what I'm
solution? What was my solution?
Right,
But
it's
you waiting
divine.
for Jesus to come?
No, we're waiting for a guy named Mahdi. Yeah, he will unite the Muslim, because the Muslims are separated. As you can see, they're entirely fighting each other. You know. So I think it'll take one man who will come from the east and he'll
very
unite the whole
interesting.
Muslim
Different as they are.
The Mahdi.
Both got the same solution.
Oh, yeah.
The Mahdi will come, then Jesus will come. Yeah. But we believe that before any of this, the Antichrist will come. And he will rule the earth for man to view.
That's the same
But the
too.
Bible does say the Antichrist is already here. He's
Well,
already here.
it
depends how you want to interpret
waiting
it,
for
right? Really. But the Bible does clearly say he's already here.
Jesus too.
And you know him. And the Bible says you know him.
If you,
Yeah?
He didn't
So
say
who is
that.
this
let me ask you
Antichrist?
something. Does God come back or does Jesus come back?
We believe Jesus will come back.
You waiting for Jesus?
Yeah. No, they're waiting for more than one person.
Someone from the east to unite
We're waiting for Imam Mahdi. He's called the Mahdi. He'll unite the whole Muslim empire, the whole world.
But is that Jesus?
No, that to us, that's going to be the false prophet. Their Mahdi is going to be the false prophet.
Antichrist as well, isn't it?
So we believe first the Antichrist will come, yeah, and he'll rule the world for a certain amount of years, then what he'll do, the first thing he'll do, and the whole world will recognize this, yeah? And you gotta watch this as well carefully on the news, yeah, and political circle, what's going on. The whole world is focused on Palestine, the conflict, Israel and Palestine, the conflict. Places like Brazil, they're starving to death, but they're still focusing on it, yeah, right? The whole world is focused. So what we're saying, a man will appear from the Middle East, somewhere in the East, right? There's two agendas right now. There's the Mitriya and there's the what's Trump's son-in-law? What's his name?
Not Jared. Stop that.
But
He's married.
They're pushing this agenda forward. They're pushing this forward. So they're what we say, yeah. This guy will come and bring peace in the Middle East. Yeah. Once he brings peace, the whole world will recognize it, and he'll draw a mandate. The whole world will sign up to this mandate. Like you get the Geneva Convention, and then you get there's another one, the UN, the Portuguese one that we signed. It's a UN convention.
You don't want to say.
The sixth
You have to
thingy
go.
that we thingy.
All right, take care.
But do you know what our problem with that is? As he was asking about.
Content over everything. From now to
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
Being pagans.
Listen.
If you do that, Allah will cleanse you from all your sins. Allah, inshallah, will turn all your bad deed to good deed. And He will send you to Jannah. Look around you. They're saying Britain is a Christian country. How many Christians in this country really believe in Christianity and follow it?